All right, good morning, welcome. It's a good morning here on your favorite, so most authoritative, best place in terms of football analysis. Now, I say on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. Yasaba. By the grace of God, and we are back to give you the best in football analysis and all the updates. Of course, DB Amekacho. So when you see me here, it means that and and I need to bring them to you. I need to make sure say my update you consistently on all of that. I see on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube, and I've come with, of course, my production for the morning to come and enjoy all the analysis I see on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. Of course, thank you very much for joining us. If you are new to the channel, thank you. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notification turn, and I choose all. Send a anytime your content ever drop wo obey first to have it here on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube and BBR. I kama pa edi amount. Of course, say one subscribe to the channel edi. Then it's going to affect you investors as well, like we do on a daily basis every morning. The bell codes and then the UEFA Champions League qualifying rounds, air starts the second leg in the course and the football codes from so much and now one way cash out were successful inside 12 order. No, there was a boom for the successful those of you who did a cash out for the 12 odds last night, and then UEFA Champions League qualifying rounds near the games, the airbell codes are ready in the description of the video below. Go and pick them up. Focus your Betway app and give yourself a chance at winning something. I say it every day. A Betway, the codes are Betway codes. Pick them up and go and put them in your Betway app and give yourself a chance at winning. Let me say a big thank you to Yesumo Spare Parts Dealership and Enterprise. Yesumo Spare Parts Dealership and Enterprise. Almost on all kinds of spare parts for various cars, or ton BM Corolla, or ton Range Rover, or ton Acura, or ton Accord, Honda, not on Accord, or ton Civic, or ton CRV, ton HRV, Obenya Highlander, the amount, Obenya Lexus, Hunioma, the amount, Obenya Elantra, Hunioma, the amount, or Ope Okon Home now, LED lights, Obenya amount, Ope ambience lights, or Carnum, Obenya amount, Ope dashboard, Obe Sosan, Obenya Biama, Ope bumper, Ope fender, Ope, side mirror, camera, Bibia, Obenya amount, Ope self fixed even with ceiling, Obenya amount, Bibia, Ope Bia, our Yesumo enterprise no obenya ama. Of course, Yesumo de or Accra and or Abose Okan or Accra our Abose Okan post office, Abose Okan post office and Yesumo now. Of course, who Kumasi so the answer person still autonomy fi Yesumo on ma it's my delivery from Accra area sender. Tinesa we are simple. Just pick up your phone na for Yesumo on 059 3138 059 3138 059 3138 Obenya Yesumo na wafreno no supply all spare parts needs at the amount. Open jersey so there, then you go to Diego jerseys. Diego eton all kinds of jerseys, or on tracksuit, or to football boots, or to hose, or on socks, or on club tees, also for jersey style, maybe it sells all of those things, or on crowd up on penny for there, or on everything in terms of jerseys, or Diego jerseys in the show. Open jerseys, we a team, we a group, na mope large scale, small scale, one quant, so customized culture media, a Diego jerseys in the show. For Diego, or Tonsu high school junction, one of my station, one of my Juana Diego station, one of my just call Diego on 054 6279 054 6279 and no Diego number. For Diego Sisi and Akokoji, which is fast. Now let's get straight into it. I've seen this morning say Football Club Barcelona say they believe say they can get Luis Diaz using Rodrigo goals. Now, let me explain something. The Athletics saw a story on Liverpool's attack, and the Athletic is saying that Liverpool, as it stands now, have it in their mind, and it's well documented. Say they want to beef up on more attack. They want to bring in more players that are coming to the squad and then beef it up, make it a better squad as it was from last season. And Liverpool are in some very interesting situation. I've said it several times that the passing of Diogo Jota is very hard. It's going to be hard and it's going to affect the team. Of course, because to an extent, Liverpool had to replace Diogo Jota in the team, the fact that he's leaving physically. Then you look at Darwin Nunez. Darwin Nunez is a player. He's on the verge of joining SSC Napoli. And Napoli, for now, have been clear, said they want Darwin Nunez. They have had the negotiations from Darwin's camp. I'm on Darwin camp, and I said, Darwin camp, see that your young man wants to join SSC Napoli. Antonio Conte wants him. And Napoli, for now, are beginning to put all their stuff together because already Napoli for now are doing a deal for a branch friend Noah Lang from PSV Eindhoven. And PSV for now started on preseason first training, camp near the Noah Lang did not attend. There is a branch here, your friend Sam Buikema, also Ewo Bologna. It's a player that they've closing in on. A branch friend Luca, a branch friend Kevin De Bruyne or Napoli Honum already. So they are building a team where they want to compete, especially also so also the Antonio Conte kind of last season because given everything that Antonio Conte did and Napoli did last season, the worry is that one Shani has almost squad will not be good enough for Europe because so attack of Davide Neres, now Romelu Lukaku, now Philip Billing, now these attackers as main attackers are. I mean, it's not enough to go to Europe and play in the Champions League, play in the Italian Cup locally, play for the Scudetto. This animal, it's always going to be difficult for Napoli. And we will say several times there. One of the biggest problems that Antonio Conte has had in his coaching and managerial career hasn't been from the fact that Abia or no Antonio no on your top level coach. And as Abia or no Antonio no, he hasn't coached to the top level or something like that before. The problem, however, with Antonio Conte throughout is that almost every time the Obeji local trophy Biano, he just doesn't seem to have the ability or the profile or the players no, to take them to Europe and get them to succeed over there. So you go back and look at Antonio Conte's Juventus side, they are not successful in Europe. Antonio Conte's Chelsea side, not successful in Europe. Antonio Conte's Inter side, just when they had a chance to go and play in Europe, he pulled a plug, he left because it was at that point in time Antonio Conte captured the owners, the Sunni group at the time of Inter Milan say, so Oman top players on Antonio Conte share Amano, Amman fan team for them to go and compete in Europe. He will not compete. He will not go there to Europe and then go and waste his time. And so it was like more of a big deal in terms of what Antonio Conte could do, what the team could do, how Antonio Conte could build the squad now on him. So that's exactly why this summer, Okache Abanti, a friend of Aurelio De Laurentiis, said for him as a manager, he wants to make sure say Ome Bifi have scored now and yes Obeko. For Napoli also, it had been a season long of managers, especially after say former coach Efri Ormakon. So how are they going to keep Antonio Conte happy? It meant that they need to bring in the players Antonio Conte set up, and that's exactly what they decided to do. They're trying to bring in star players now, and first off, they are bringing up these guys. So Darwin Nunez looks like it's to come there, especially because other teams in Italy are also trying to strengthen. I mean, Juventus, for as it stands now, have had the conversation around, say, Oshe Obitse Jadon Sancho and our branch friend Francesco Conceição, especially these two players are on my left wing. Francesco Conceição joined the team on loan from Sporting. No, not from Sporting, from Porto, where his father was the coach. And then Papa Ba, AC Milan Babe coach here. Now, Conceição born alone, one of the things that's going on is that Sporting for not catch Juve said you have to pay the 30 million for a bench friend of Francesco Conceição. Pay the 30 million. Then when you pay the 30 million, we'll see if we are going to bring in anybody. We'll see if we are going to come in and then bring you to come and play. We'll see if a Jumana Woya, a Yamaun, and I say, we'll buy inside now, Bobo, man. Yeah, but my boy, also, we don't bring the guy, we don't let the guy come in there. And the thing is that Juventus really prefer Francesco Conceição to a branch friend Jadon Sancho. Jadon is more of an inside player, and Jadon cost in doing the deal, the cost of the player, the cost of doing the deal for Jadon Sancho is a little bit more expensive than Francesco Conceição. So for them, the focus mainly is on getting Francesco Conceição. And this is Juventus trying to beef up the team. This is Juventus, asking questions to make sure some more quality players to go in next season and the ego Tudor to go and compete. And that's why Kenan Yildiz this summer, they've made up their mind that they're not going to sell him. Bremer is going to return back into the Juventus centre-back lines. And this is going to be a player waiting out more in terms of upping the tempo, the defensive solidity, and then the physicality at the back for Juventus. Something that's going to be very, very exciting. Now, if you move away from all of these things, you move away from this Juventini team, this quality of players, and what's our Juventus side, what is going to go on is that even AC Milan have brought in a branch friend Luka Modric, very experienced player, very, very experienced player. What can you take from Luka Modric or Honor? And AC Milan have managed, however you look at it, to keep hold of a branch here, your friend of Mike Maignan. Chelsea did everything to get Mike Maignan for the Club World Cup. AC Milan have managed to keep Mike Maignan in the team. And Maka have explained several times why Chelsea did what they did. Chelsea constantly believe that when it comes to finding a goalkeeper there, it's either the guy gets a market opportunity who is as good or even better than Robert Sanchez, or else they will stay with Robert Sanchez and wait till Mike Mendes is good enough to take over as the number one. And see, AC Milan have managed to keep a branch friend Mike Maignan. Now, after the Mike Maignan conversation, there is always a conversation around Rafael Leao, who have stayed at the club. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is going to be there. Yunus Musa is going to be there. Yes, I have a feeling and I'm worried. Say 18-year-old boy here party, but of course, Lamine is not a regular 18-year-old boy. He's an 18-year-old boy with a lot of things going on in his life, with a lot of things, making him successful in the things that he has done. And so, I think that the Spanish Federation that's in charge of this ability, they should look at their things well, because Lamine Yamal has really not done anything wrong. But they say that the investigations will go on. We will see how the investigations will go. The Barcelona players did return for preseason on by preliminary medicals. They went on to go and check their height. They did their medication test. They checked their anti-doping to check if they do and they went to do all of that. Of course, Frankie de Jong, Pedri, Gavi, Lamine Yamal himself was they were at the Civitas Esportiva, and to go and make sure they start their medicals now. Something that was really, really excellent for Abrantia, your friend Lamine Yamal. Good one for the Barcelona team. And here to Abrantia, your friend Marc-Andre ter Stegen, he was there. And the reports from ter Stegen's camp is that ter Stegen, Sequida, he's not going anywhere. He's staying. That's what they are hearing. Even after say Abrantia, your friend Hansi Flick, I catch Marc-Andre ter Stegen say he is not going to be his number one goalkeeper. No. What it means is that as it stands now, ter Stegen is already what it. Woman in number one there, he will wait for his opportunity. Nobody knows what will happen to Juan Garcia. But of course, Okonfor, the uncle say Krumu say Kroboso they are not there. He will take advantage. So that is what Juan Garcia, Marc-Andre ter Stegen about it. Goalkeeping situation at FC Barcelona. So he's Sequeda. He's staying at club that is called at FC Barcelona. Marc-Andre ter Stegen is going to stay. And of course, today he was there for those medicals and he's preparing for a big season ahead of him at FC Barcelona. But still at Barcelona, there has been Pablo Torre, who has been sold with a buyback clause to the club called Mallorca. Of course, Pablo Torre really is surplus in demand for the club that's called FC Barcelona, and for a club who is in dire economic and financial situation, really making sales like this is important for Football Club Barcelona. And one of the things that Barcelona have been able to do is to sell Pablo Torre to go to Mallorca, for him to go in there and go and get a job done, for him to go in there and go and play some good football, get some time with other players. And of course, Barca have a buyback option, the first refusal. So anytime Mallorca wants to sell him, it's either a buyback option, the first refusal, or a percentage sell on. It's a Football Club Barcelona on a big day like this. I think that's a good one for Club FC Madrid. In the last few hours, there has been the arrival of the man that's called Alvaro Carreras, who comes into the team as one of those players as part of their left-back depth in the team. Of course, after Fran Garcia, after Ferland Mendy, there's Alvaro Carreras. a little more taller, more physical, more combative for the Real Madrid team. And the Madrid phone have added a quality player into their team. Quality in the man that is called Alvaro Carreras in their team, to make sure that Alvaro Carreras now comes in, helps dictate the pace of games, helps play well, helps really impose themselves in matches, and it takes them to the levels where Alvaro Carreras, wants to get to in the team that's called Real Madrid. We've mentioned several times that Xabi Alonso is the kind of player that today, in today's day and age, Xabi Alonso has mentioned several times that he, as a coach, wants to make sure that Xabi Alonso, he has the quality players, and he has been given the authority to make sure that if there is any Madrid player who is not doing things as Xabi Alonso wants, he can let the player go. He can really let the player have a hard time around him. So Madrid are giving a lot of backing, 100% of backing to Xabi Alonso, to the man to be able to play, to the man to be able to really manage FC Real Madrid, for him to get everything that he wants in that club. And of course, today, Franco Mastantuono, Madrid's new midfield sensation, Franco Mastantuono from Argentina. After the Club World Cup, everybody knows the quality of Franco Mastantuono, another one of those box-to-box combative players who Madrid thinks that can be one of those replacements for Luka Modric, and which is very, very important. Of course, we saw in the Club World Cup that Xabi Alonso was beginning to change a couple of things. He was playing more centrally on Orient Tchouameni, and it looks as if Orient Tchouameni may learn how to be the tempo controller of this Real Madrid team. Something that is super important for Real Madrid, getting the tempo control and Orient Tchouameni. There are going to be games where there's going to be Eduardo Camavinga, who is also in tune with that style of play, who is in tune with the physicality of the game. But Madrid added another midfield gem, another physical monster, another South American guy in the middle of the pack, somebody that Madrid thinks that is the biggest talent from South America, especially in Argentina in midfield, which is the man Franco Mastantuono. And today, Franco Mastantuono spoke, and he says that he just cannot wait to don the jerseys of team that is called FC Real Madrid. And obviously, so you can agree that, of course, Franco Mastantuono will really relish wearing those jerseys of FC Real Madrid. He wants to make sure that he goes in there and then relishes wearing that jersey of FC Real Madrid. Be that player that comes in, that delivers, that plays good football, that really imposes himself in matches, and make sure that at the end of the day, FC Real Madrid are going to be really successful, whilst Franco Mastantuono is there. Of course, Luka Modric today arrived in Milan today. Of course, Abramovich, the Milan entourage really did meeting today at the Milan airport, where they said, actually, you know what, we are getting a legend of the game in the man that's called Luka Modric. Something that is very good for Luka Modric. And Luka has said that he wanted to still play football in Europe. Of course, the story at Real Madrid was done, and he seemed to have handed over to Arda Güler, Tchouameni, Mastantuono, Jude Bellingham, and the likes. And now he has to go to AC Milan in the Milan township, and it's a good one. Of course, tactically, I have a problem. I have a physical problem with that team. I have a problem in terms of how AC Milan, after selling Tijani Reinders, are stockpiling the team with somebody the caliber of Luka Modric and the likes. I feel like there are much more younger players that they could bring in, but at least I see that he's the guy that's going to call. Victor Gyökeres to Arsenal is getting close and is catching the heat as the day goes on. Victor Gyökeres looks like he's going to join the team that's called Arsenal. John Arias to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Everybody saw John Arias for Fiifi-Manfred in the Club World Cup. Excellent striker by our standards. Wolverhampton Wanderers have a Portuguese manager who have some South American connects, sometimes even from Brazil. He understands how things are done in that area, and he wants to bring in a young guy called John Arias to Europe. And for Menezes, I'm going to sell him to them. Arsenal are getting their man in Christian Mosquera for 15 million. The total package somewhere around 20 million for Arsenal. 20 million for Arsenal to get your man Mosquera. A very good centre-back experienced player in there. He's a player that wants to make sure that he sorts things out over there. He's a player that's going to join Arsenal from Valencia. Another very, very good ball playing and aggressive centre back for Mikel Arteta and his charges. Now to Chelsea. Boy, some of the things that the Chelsea boys have been putting on social media is exciting. And I said this the last time that Chelsea are not done. Chelsea are really, really not done. They are not done with what they have to do. I think that everything that's happened to Chelsea at the Club World Cup is just the beginning of how things are going. And I like the fact that I've seen a report where the reports coming from Stamford Bridge and the boys is that the team ownership, the team hierarchy has told the boys that, see, you know what, enjoy this moment, drink it all in. And last night, when they went to the team hotel, you could see Cole Palmer, Enzo Maresca, all of these guys going to the fans and celebrating with them, which is very good. But the hierarchy has told them that really the first part of this conversation was that people doubted us. They said we can't win, we are not good enough. We have built together a team that stayed together, suffered for 3 years, and finally we've gotten succeeded. And people underrate what it means for this young group, this young crop of players to go through everything that they went through for 3 years and to be able to get to this point where they now are getting close to being successful. But to be very honest, winning the Conference League is good. Qualifying for the Champions League was a good one and could have been okay for the first season by Enzo Maresca. It is actually very huge to win the Club World Cup, but that can be very deceptive. That can be very deceptive because, to be very honest, are Chelsea truly the best club in the world? Maybe no, maybe yes. But then again, you can understand that they are one of the best clubs in the world and they've won the Club World Cup. So Chelsea are telling their players that you need to stay humble. Chelsea just got started. They just really started everything that they want to do. And it's clear. If you look at Cole Palmer after the game, he went onto Instagram and he wrote there, doubt us now, doubt us now. And he told the journalists in a pre-match press conference that Enzo Maresca is building something that is huge and beautiful at Chelsea Football Club. And I mean, if you get a chance to be a part, trust me, you are getting a chance to be part of a team that works so hard. And yesterday, that's game plan. And I've said a lot of the times about what Chelsea did in the first 10 minutes that Enzo Maresca said won them the game. But then really, we've not put together the shifts that certain players put in, especially Pedro Neto, to constantly make that backline 5-4-1. Marco Correa dropping deep, Pedro Neto dropping deep to occupy the final phase of defense and then occupy every phase of play was super intelligence from Marco Correa. And I mentioned several times, and also from Pedro Neto, that if Chelsea really want to win this game, one of the things that they need to do is to work twice as hard on and off the ball than Paris Saint-Germain. If they want to make sure that they win the game, they need to be much more physical than Paris Saint-Germain. If they want to make sure that at the end of the day, they are the best team and they are crowned champions, they need to be much more intense than Paris Saint-Germain. And I think that was a brilliant one from Chelsea Football Club. I think that's exactly how they went into the game. And that is exactly why they are celebrating all across the place. And you read from everybody, Enzo Fernandez talking about why he was crying and where he has come from as a player. Again, you go in there and you look at the fact that today, for the very first time, people will look at Enzo Maresca and give him the respect that he has to be accorded with. The quality of play of Enzo Maresca has been brilliant. It has been brilliant, but really, Chelsea aren't there yet. I mean, now people are getting the picture of what the Chelsea plan was, the Chelsea transfer strategy was, the Chelsea project was about. The Chelsea project essentially was about making sure that today Chelsea has a team that can play together. And when I say that they just started, what I mean is that these players have 5, 6, 7 years contracts in there. Most of them have done just 2 to 3 years on their contracts. What it means is that for most of these players, there is another 2 or 3 more years. You have 3 more years for Cole Palmer possibly to be at Chelsea. Maybe if you go to Madrid and Barcelona, you never know. But at Chelsea, you have a player that Chelsea think that, okay, he can play another 3, 4 years with Enzo Fernandez, with Moise Caicedo, with Reece James, with Cole Palmer, and to add other quality players into the mix. Now, this now is the base and the backbone of the team, where Estevao Willian and the likes also come to add up to the mix. Giovanni Coenda next summer. Then on the other side, there is Jimmy Bino Gittins, Joao Pedro, who are going to be quality and they are going to play well and improve the quality of the team. And the plan is that these guys can now win sustainably. And I've said several times that under Roman Abramovich, it was a team that was winning for 20 years. They never really lost. They won, but it was not consistent. It was not sustainable. There were years where Chelsea could go a year or two and they don't win. There were years where Chelsea could go 3 years, 1 year, 1.5 years. They've not really won anything substantial. Now, this one is that now that Chelsea have managed to win the Club World Cup, win the Conference League, they can replicate it. Next season, can you go in hard for the Premier League? Can you have the squad depth to go in hard? And whilst the players go on holiday, I'm sure Enzo Maresca will go on holiday and his team, whilst on holiday, they'll be working around the clock on tactically what the plan would have to be when they are going into the season. But how do you navigate a 36-game season? Something that's going to be very huge, adding Champions League to it, adding a couple of games to it, something that is going to be super, super important when you talk about the quality of play, when you talk about the quality of the success that Chelsea is likely to get in that scheme. I mean, really, really brilliant in terms of whatever Chelsea want to do on the night in terms of the quality of play that they want to have. So, I mean, now people are understanding. I've seen a lot of tweets where people are saying that, hey, the key players that the Chelsea scored and their best players have like 6, 7, 8 year contracts already on their books, so they are not going to leave anytime soon. And it's because Chelsea knew that they don't have the pedigree of Real Madrid just yet. But how do we tie these guys down for a very long time? Give them long-term contracts. Have autonomy in terms of the contract duration over there. And then, of course, give them bonuses, let them grow, give them contract performance, enhancing contracts, and then let them become successful, grow them together, let them become one of the top teams that you can be in. That is exactly in that direction where Chelsea are beginning to go. And I'm excited to see what next season brings for Chelsea. And I like what they interaction. Keep your head down, be calm, and it's a good one. And again, I don't think Nicholas Jackson has to go anywhere. And yesterday I was speaking to Dr. Kofi and says that Charlie Jackson, maybe they'll sell him. I think there's a possibility. But if Jackson is in the team, then it means that we have depth in the team and we can now hold on to him, especially since we don't have a proper number 9 who will give you those 30 goals. And like Enzo Maresca said, he doesn't want players that will give him just 20 goals, 40 goals, and that's no. He wants players that will give him 15, maybe 10 players give him 15 goals. When he has 8 players giving 10 to 15 goals, that's a good one for him. And then again, you look at all of these, look at the quality of players that are going to add to the team. We've spoken several times about Cole Palmer, the influence in that team. And I mean, if things go like they're going, Cole Palmer in the next few years may stake a claim to that Ballon d'Or shout. And maybe one of these days, we'll be having a Ballon d'Or conversation. And then the first ever Chelsea player, most likely, will go in there and then win the Ballon d'Or. And that's going to be probably the pinnacle of everything. Because I remember when Todd Bowley, Baghdad, Balimo, when they came in Omokase, for them, they want to make sure that by the time that they leave, there is one Chelsea player who is the face of the franchise, who wins the Ballon d'Or, win the individual awards, and then they push him marketing-wise. And I think that it wasn't just coincidence that in Times Square and then Madison Garden and stuff like that, you could see Cole Palmer's pictures and images all over the place. Although he's still chilled, Cole Palmer talks about the fact that he's still calm. But I think that marketing-wise, Chelsea are pushing the brand in America. They need to get more money in America. They need to scale it up because that scalability is very important. And then build a revenue stream that becomes very important for them to compete for a very, very long time. So much of an interesting time ahead for Chelsea. I mean, also, how long can they keep Enzo Maresca? How long can they keep them happy? The dynamics in there. Can Enzo Maresca be Chelsea's own Josep Guardiola that wins them an English treble, that gives them an European treble? Can it be for a long time where Chelsea are sustainable? They don't chop and change the game. They keep managers that go together and succeed for a very long time. These very, very interesting times for Chelsea. And like I say, that Chelsea really just got started. Chelsea got started. They just got started. They are not done yet. They just really, really got started after that Club World Cup. We'll see how things are going to pan out from there. However you see the things, the players, Fernandes, everybody. I actually saw Bernardo Cueva, the tactical statistician for Chelsea, how much he adds to the team and how much this team is going. I think it's a really, really interesting time to be a Chelsea fan. Of course, we'll draw the curtain here. For those of you who are still asking for the jerseys, they will come. Give me some time. I want to make sure that by the time the season starts, everybody gets their jersey. We'll share somewhere between 6 to 10 jerseys, depending on your club. not just Chelsea. We'll share just about 3 Chelsea jerseys. The rest are going to be other clubs, Barca, Madrid, and the likes. We'll share other club jerseys as well. So stick and stay with us. We'll be back with you very, very soon when everything settles. This is Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. See you. Bye-bye.